Carl Lowe said that Levante David is even better than he was last year, I guess, and he said it might not show up in the stat line there. Can you elaborate a little bit on what you've seen from him?
Well, he's bigger. His speed is there. I mean, he's got all the same intangibles he had a year ago, but I think he knows the defense better. He was a new kid out of junior college last year and was kind of learning on the run, and this year he's just very confident with his reads, quicker. It just makes him look even faster to us. So yeah, you never know if that'll show up in his stat line, but certainly we're excited about where he is, and he just gets it. He gets it a lot better than he did at this point a year ago.
Sean Fisher a little bit and his progression from the injury last year and where he's at.
Fish has put on some size too. You know, it was funny in the spring. You could still see the after effects of the ankle injury. You don't see it anymore. You know, I'm sure it gets a little sore for him, but in terms of as a coach watching him, how he plays, you don't see him gimping at all or limping at all. So it's amazing. That's a rough injury to come back from. That's the same one that Barry Turner had our first year here, and that's a difficult one to rehab. But he fought through it in the spring, and it helped him because now he's got the mental aspect of it, and he feels good physically. So he's had a good spring or a good fall camp.
Is Stafford a guy that you could move down to linebacker at all?
No, Stafford, he's a really, he could, but there's no plans to do that. He's a really good safety. He's going to help us on the back end. So be a waste of his talents to do that.
You have such good safeties back there to begin with. How do you try to work like a junior college guy in that rotation?
May the best man win, the reps. I mean, he came in and immediately established himself as a contender for playing time. He gets the game. He's very instinctive. He's big. He's physical. He tackles well in the open field. So it created even more competition on the back end, which is good. Good for everybody.
Carl, is your reliance on new guys as little as it's been since you've been here to help immediately?
Say that again. I don't understand the question.
Reliance on some newcomers about as low as it's been since you've been here as far as the depth of guys coming back?
Yeah, I mean, maybe. We haven't had, on the defensive side, if you really think about it, we haven't had a lot of new guys playing, at least early in the season. Dennard played a little bit our first year. I don't remember. Ciante played a little bit last year. So not really. But, you know, you look at guys. If you bring in a couple of junior college guys like Stafford and Carter, you'd like them to be part of the mix. You know, you'd like them to work into some playing time. You don't recruit those guys unless you think they can contribute right away. At corner, you know, with Fonzo's injury, you know, you're counting on some guys who are a little green, but they've been playing very well, and we're deep at that position, which is good. And we've got great competition fighting for those spots. So, you know, I don't know. I think, I don't know. I'd have to look at the numbers to answer that question. But I don't feel like, I do feel like we're deeper than we've been. And looking at, you know, if you really look at experience, we've got more experience back this year than we have. If you say new guys in terms of young guys, that's one thing. But the experience is certainly better this year.
If Dinner can't go, what's the plan for you guys in terms of personnel, just while he's out?
You mean Saturday?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he'll be going. He'll be going eventually. I thought maybe you knew something I didn't. Okay, so Green is kind of going to play opposite Ciante. But again, we're very versatile. You're going to see Josh Mitchell in there, or you're going to see Blatch at the nickel. You're going to see Ciante at the nickel. You're going to see Dijon Washington at the corner spot. You're going to see 4, maybe 5 different safeties at different times. So this early season, the competition continues, especially now with the heat of the game. Who's going to perform? And so you're going to see a lot of guys back there playing different combinations.
What ways has P.J. Smith improved from last year?
He's a better open field tackler. And if I had to critique his game, I'd say he was always good against the pass. He's a very smart, heady player, good leader, understands the system. He needed to get better as a tackler. He was given that message again coming out of spring. He worked hard on it, and As of right now, coming out of camp, I think he's made vast improvement as a tackler, as an open field run defender, and that's going to open up a lot of opportunity for him to play even more.
With the personnel and the experience that you talk of, what's your overall confidence level in this defense as a whole?
Oh, I'm scared to death, as I always am. 5 days before the opener, you just never know what it's going to look like when you throw it out there. But our guys are confident. And it's the same thing as every year. If they continue to prepare like they have been and focus in on the game plan and hone in on the opponent, we'll be fine. We'll be fine.
What will you guys do, Carl, at that other defensive end spot? How will you guys rotate, and who will be the first guy out there on Saturday?
You mean opposite Cameron?
Yeah, opposite of Cameron.
Well, Ankara.
Ankara will be the
Yeah. Josh Williams is the... Josh has had a great camp, too. And I think he's taken a definite step ahead. I think the competition has been great for Josh. Last year he put on a lot of size. He was like Jared. It was that first year he put on all that size. He didn't quite look comfortable with his size. Now he looks comfortable at 270, So he'll be the first guy off the bench on both sides. He's a very valuable guy for us. Eric Martin's got a role for us. Joe Carter's got a role for us. And so they're all going to see time in different types of situations.
You mentioned the week before an opener scares you to death as a coach. Could you expound on that a little bit? What are the last few days before an opener like for a coach? What's going through your head as you're getting ready for a season?
Oh, all the worst case scenario. I mean, you look at a play and you think about what your calls are in that personnel, and you always think, if I make this call, this is the play I don't want to see, and if I see it, our guy's going to be able to execute it, and so as you think about any game, but really early on, especially with a couple inexperienced guys in there, you always think worst case scenario, what if this happens, or he doesn't go to his coverage on this, or he hits the wrong gap on this blitz, but eventually, you just got to cut the umbilical and throw them out there and see what happens. So.
Is there a point Saturday when that leaves?
Yeah, first play. Yeah. I mean, really, that goes away after. The jitters, just like players, goes away as soon as you get into your, into your job.
What are the types of things that allow Ankara to rise to the top of that group?
He's gotten really physical. I mean, he reminds me of Pierre in terms of how he defends the run. He plays with good pad level. He's got a lot of lower body strength. He's gotten a lot stronger in his upper body. He allows himself to play very physical against the run, but he's still got the athleticism in a third down situation to rush the pass, to rush the quarterback like a pure pass rusher does.
At what point did he move into maybe that top spot? Is it recently, does that go back a ways?
Probably toward the end of spring, but the competition goes on. I mean, I can call him a starter, but I don't know that they're fighting for who's starting. They're fighting for snaps. And in my mind, I look at every position on the field. To me, it doesn't matter who's starting. It's how do I want to use these guys situationally. And those are the snaps they're fighting for. My two top pass rushers are going to be on the field on 3rd and long, and my run guys are going to be on the field in 2nd and medium, 3rd and short. And so it really doesn't matter who's on the field the first snap. It's how I envision rotating those guys. And, they want to play in more situations, and they got to prove themselves effective in more situations, which is what the depth gives us, more flexibility.
Yeah, when did you get to that point? I mean, your first year, there was no way that you could ever think about, I want to put my best pass. I mean, maybe you had those 4 guys, but you couldn't really mix it.
Well, truthfully, the first couple years, the same guys that were my best pass rushers were my best run defenders. And, that was probably true at the linebacker position and secondary. So, just like we talked about in the secondary, we're going to use guys in different ways. We're going to do the same thing at linebacker. We're going to do the same thing at the defensive line and try and play to their talents. And we recruited them each for a reason. We recruited Eric Martin and Joe Carter for a different reason probably than we recruited Cameron. So you might as well play to their strengths,